This is the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertainment. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
Happy 2021, friends. 2021 was good for you on your New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's whatever. Saw a lot of upset people, Bobby, because they couldn't go out. It's like, man, you must not be old.
I say I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to go anywhere, to be honest with you. Home was the best place to be. So that's what we did. 2021's here, and I was actually talking to someone earlier. I think it was Saturday, Sunday, a younger person, and they were like, well, nothing's changed. I'm like, well, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, right.
Did you mysteriously think, friend, that everything was going to be just drastically different just because we turned the calendar? Not the way it works in the real world, friend.
Well, one of the things that stayed the same in my neighborhood was that the neighbor that always throws the great big parties, the one with the DJ stuff in the garage and all that stuff, they shot off about $200 worth of fireworks in a span of about 10, 15 minutes, and it was right by the house, and it was taken off, and it was loud. But the best part about it is I didn't have to worry about trying to do anything because I didn't get to spend the money on the fireworks, and I got to watch the fireworks pretty close and pretty exciting. So I really thought they'd get a little bit higher in the neighborhood, but I guess not.
We bought just a few fireworks, and they are still sitting in my kitchen. They're still sitting on the kitchen counter. Didn't do anything with it. It was rainy. It was cold. It was pretty nasty, I gotta say. It was definitely a good time. Got to turn the fire on. I mean, it actually felt like the holidays for once. So no complaints with that. But hopefully to all of you, your 2021 was good.
I think it wasn't all that bad. I mean, obviously, you're right. The older you get, the more you're content with hanging out at home, like just sitting there and chilling out and not doing much of anything. I think that becomes the way that you, as you get older, you just appreciate the smaller things in life. I never realized that. Talking to my dad and my grandfather growing up about, sometimes when you slow down, things become more interesting and have really become a lot more fun. Yeah,
no doubt about it. It was a good time. It was a good time to be in, and it's all good, and that's the most important thing. So hopefully, as we said, 2021 was good to all of you, and we did see racing already starting to happen around the country. And coming up on the show today, we've got the official announcement. Owen Pittman will join us at 7:00 with the Texana Raceway Park schedule release there, and then we will be joined by Jamie Skinner at 7:30. They actually were racing over at New Smyrna with a red eye, so we'll talk to them. It's going to be a good show.
Well, it's always going to be a good show, especially when you have Owen Pittman coming on. First time he's going to be publicly out and about and on the radio since he won the Promoter of the Year award. So that's be interesting to get his take on everything. He's pretty excited about that, as well as trying to get that last major schedule out there for Texana there in 2021. So I'm looking forward to it. Probably going to see some surprising stuff on that schedule if I had to guess.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a copy of it. Actually, I haven't even looked at it. It's just built into the presentation here. Working on some sound issues. We had some weird stuff happening here in the studio a little bit earlier. I don't exactly know what the hell was going on, so just trying to diagnose some stuff. So we'll continue to work on that. So I'll be periodically checking on that as we go. Yeah, it's not the best it's been, but it's going to work out okay, and we'll continue to work on that because that's what we do here. We go on the fly, and that's a weird thing when folks ask about doing these shows and all of that. That is the weirdest part because all of this gear, I usually come in and I'm running stuff in the studio on Sunday evenings just to make sure that we're ready for Monday. And I can tell you, yesterday we were spot on. You come in today, you fire everything up, and for some reason something's not hitting the way it's supposed to be. But it'll all work out. We'll make it happen the way it needs to.
I guess Murphy's Law still exists in 2021.
Something like that. But we'll weather along and we'll go with it. Red Eye 50-50. It is Jeff Schofield winning in the Super Late Models. First time back on the track since 2016. He wins over Jesse Dutilli, who won the pole. 13 Super Late Models there at New Smyrna. I did see some people that were kind of bitching and complaining about that, but it's like 13 Super Late Models are a hell of a lot better than 12, and they're a hell of a lot better than 5. So it's early in the season. Let's calm down just a little bit.
What's a whole lot better than your track not having any?
Right. I mean,
there is that.
Yeah. I totally agree. Then you go over to the Pro Late Models. It's Brad May. The gunslinger, Mike Skinner, comes home second. We'll talk to Jamie about that here in just a little bit. But they had about 11 of those. So, again, you're still working it. We're still dealing with pandemics and all of that. And there's not a lot of downtime because you had everything that was going on towards the end of the season. And it was a big push towards the end of the season. You had all of that. And then here you are. You get to January. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get cars out there.
Yeah, well, it will be. I mean, when everybody, it's funny how everybody gears up for the stuff towards the end of the season versus the stuff for the beginning of the season. Now, obviously, the whole world of super late model racing hinges on the Snowball Derby there at the end of the year. Anybody and everybody who is a big dog tries to run down to the Snowball Derby. We saw that back in December when you had guys like Casey Johnson going home. You had guys like Noah Gregson and a James Finch car going home.
Yep.
So the entire world of super late model racing hinges on the Derby. Now, granted, they didn't tear up a lot of stuff this past Derby this time, but they also sent a lot of good cars home. So I think a lot of people taking a couple of weeks off. The red eye is so early, like they're in that little bit of a sweet spot to where it ends up being pretty decent racing when it's there, but is it a little bit too early? I mean, that could be said about that. But I don't see Rusty and the gang down there moving the red eye anytime soon to a different weekend to accommodate something to try to see if something else is going to work.
Yeah, he talked about that here last week in all the podcasts at RevvedUpSportsShow.com. He talked about how that's a staple event for them down there. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to move that. So they're not going to do anything along the lines of changing any of that. So with all of that happening, and I mean, we're really starting to get busy. You had the Tulsa Shootout. You had 6 first-time winners there with the Golden Driller. So you had that, and it's it's really neat to see as a race fan that you see all the action happening right now. But at the same time, it kind of sucks here in Texas because we're going to be. We'll be firing up here. We'll be going here pretty damn quick coming along in February, but. It is a little suckish to see everybody else is rolling and we're not quite there yet.
Well, we will be here shortly. I mean, obviously, we're still waiting on the race dates, the official race dates from Houston. Obviously, they'll be coming out pretty soon. We got all the dirt track schedules and stuff. Also got the Bash of the Beach coming up here in a little bit down there at South Texas Speedway with Stevie and the gang down there. So I'm looking forward to that race. That one's going to be the one to kind of knock the ice off everything, and hopefully it's not going to be too cold, though. Every once in a while, you get a cold chill in February that just doesn't like to go away. Yeah,
exactly. And to be ready to be ready to go. I mean, that's going to be the key because it is an earlier start. It's definitely an earlier start for everyone when you start talking about racing in February. And again, Houston is going to be March. I know the practice date's in March, so I know that probably starting the season's not going to be that far off of that. So again, that's scheduled to be determined. So all of that will be out before too long, and it's. All good. Good stuff. Russell Vickery checking in. It's funny how they bitch about the low car counts and they bitch if the track is closed. Yeah. Damn good point.
Some people just never happy.
Damn good point right there. That's really the key right there is, and again, we've been appreciating race promoters all the whole month of December. I think that's something where it goes back to you really need to do that because you need the tracks open. And we've said it before, Bobby, 30 cars, they run nose to tail. They don't do any passing and all of that happens. I'd rather see 12 cars in a badass race, which that super late model race was a very good race. Super late model race was a very good one. I'd rather see something like that than sit there and watch, a shitload of cars and nobody's doing anything.
Well, I mean, I guess it's the lesser of two evils, right? Would you rather have a smaller race with better racing, or a larger field with a bunch of field fillers? I mean, we've seen that a lot of times where you get a lot of extra. You get 25 cars, but yet really the back half, at least the bottom 8 or 9. I mean, they'll be lapped within a couple of laps of each other, and be 5 or 6 laps down come the end of the race. So I think that I've always been more of a competitive standpoint guy, where I'd rather see 12 really good cars, just like you, try to battle it out for a win, than see 12 really good cars battle it out for a win, and then a bunch of no driving fools there in the back half of the back 12.
Mm-hmm. But where there were a lot of cars and a lot of races was that Lucas Oil Tulsa Shootout we were talking about. 296 races in 4 days. That's a whole lot. And the Chili Bowl's getting ready to fire up. That's coming up next week, so we'll definitely have a lot of coverage here. Five Flag Speedway, 17 nights, starting with the Pensacola 200, which will be on February the 27th. And then you've got your Alan Turners. You've got your Southern Super Series. They're going to run the Sweat Hog Enduro on March the 20th. The Wing Sprints and the Modifieds Mayhem on July 9th. That one right there is that's tapping on my shoulder right there. That's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah, that one perked my attention on the calendar, and then of course the doubleheader they're running in July again. That one kind of piqued my interest in terms of road trips going to Pensacola. So did you notice the moniker though? And I don't recall them using it this season, but I noticed it on the last little bit of promotions. Pensacola's calling themselves America's Short Track.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, and I haven't noticed that before, but I noticed that the other day on their promo poster with the schedule, and then I've noticed it on a couple of little different things on their Facebook page. They've kind of branded themselves as America's Short Track, which I guess
they pretty much are.
They pretty much are, because you gotta. I think they get better pub down here than say Stafford Motor Speedway gets up north, and even I guess Bowman Gray was closed. I guess you could say Bowman Gray is America's short track, but with all the stuff that happens up there. But I was kind of surprised when I saw. I didn't know if you'd noticed it either, where it says America's short track.
I didn't look at it. I didn't look at it that close. I just saw the dates. It was kind of trying to line some stuff up right there. But I mean, they pretty much are. If Nashville were open, that would be one, or fully operating like they are. I think that would be one to maybe give them a little bit of competition there. But I was looking yesterday, Bobby. And I went and made a list here. Of all these different tracks, you've got Volusia. These are the ones operating here in January. Dillon Motor Speedway, they've got that big, I wrote the name of that thing down too, the New Year's Bash. It's a street stock race that they're going to have. It's coming up this weekend at Dillon Motor Speedway. Street stocks from all around the country, and these are the real street stocks. These aren't the what we have here. These are real street stocks that are going to be running in that race, and that's in South Carolina, and 417 Southern Speedway in Florida, East Bay Raceway Park in Florida. There's a lot of that there. There's a lot of tracks there, but I think they are pretty much right there, being that they would be America's Short Track, because the Super Bowl is there and everybody makes the mad dash to get there. And those Friday events that we talked about, even the double headers and all of that, those are go-to events on Friday nights out there.
Yeah, they really are. The doubleheaders is the go-to events. When you have people planning their yearly vacation around coming to a racetrack, that's when you know the event's really good. But the thing that surprised me there, when you talk about some of the different racetracks in Florida, think about the weather in Florida right now. They're one of the few places that can actually race. I mean, it was snowing in West Texas here. Snow wasn't too terribly far away from the Central Texas headquarters that we have here. But I just think that the way that some of that comes across and really goes that route, like that's why they're racing in New Smyrna. It is a little bit cold during the red eye, but they still were able to get the racing in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So super excited here when Owen joins us at 7 because the South Texas schedule's out, the Cotton Bowl schedule's out, the 37, Heart of Texas, all of those are out. So this is really going to be the last one to fall into place to see how everything's going to how it's all going to fall into place because there are so many tracks. And when we talk about covering, Texas is so different where we've got South Texas and even where we were talking with RPM last week, you have drivers that race at those tracks. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of miles of difference. I mean, we're talking about all these other states. Florida, maybe in comparison with Texas, with the mileage there and logistics and all of that. But all these other places we're talking about, you don't have those challenges. But when you talk about all of these tracks, and look how they spread out. I mean, Cotton Bowl's here, South Texas is way down at the bottom, Edna's over here, and then you've got so this last piece of the puzzle right here, I think is really going to kind of shake up, and I think tomorrow we'll have a really good idea of who's going to be doing what, moving forward in 2021.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are waiting on, like you said, the final piece of the puzzle for the 2021 Edna schedule. And I think part of it is, well, speaking of getting shook up, how about that deal over at Texas Motor Speedway with that dirt race getting canceled? I don't know if you had that on your list to talk about or not. Saw that.
Didn't want to start it off on a bad note, but yeah, that's a great point. I mean, talk about a talk about a ball buster to start the season off, man.
Talk about how good it is. But yeah, so that race ended up getting canceled. And go back to your street stock deal there at Dillon Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
It's funny how they were able to get a Camaro racing together against a Nova, racing together against a Monte Carlo. The rules are just fine. We're all three of those different makes among all the other makes that they have. But those three mainstays in street stock racing all find a way to race together on the same track. It's kind of funny how that works when you work together and find a set of rules that work.
Yeah, it's pretty sad but true, but at the same time pretty damn exciting that you can do that. I mean, a lot of people did it for a long time, and at one point maybe the Camaros had a little bit of an advantage there for whatever reason, but I think with the way they're doing stuff now, I mean, I really like it in that race right there. That's where you're going to go, and you'll see the aftermarket suspension parts, everything stock appearing as it would be said. I would love to walk the pits there at Dillon and just go look at those cars, because that's really where you go back and you'll have that feel of what street stock racing was and should be, if you're able to bring that back on pavement. I mean, dirt, I've said it so many times. I mean, dirt, what I love about dirt, one of the things is you go out there, you got the iStocks, you got the factory stocks, you have all those that resemble a stock car. at least in appearance, I'm thinking maybe that's where it stops, but it that Dillon race is going to be fantastic, and it's Sunday. I think it'll be on Speed 51. That may be one to I know there's going to be a lot of good playoff football on, but that may be one to take a stab at it and see what they're doing over there that I wish we could do here.
Well, obviously they got something going on over there that's working, because that race, you start typing in New Year's Bash, and Dillon Motor Speedway pops up when you put it in there.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's huge.
The 11th
annual.
Yeah, 11th annual.
Yeah, and it's one of those, and I like they do it at the beginning of the year, and there's not a lot of downtime, so it's a quick turnaround, but we see that so often now. I mean, the Chili Bowl is huge. And we're doing it. I mean, and it's genius the way they do that, the Chili Bowl, because they do it in a closed venue, and with those cars, it's easier to do that. But you do it when you have all these different guys and ladies that are available. I mean, I was looking at the entry list today, and you've got Chase Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse, Chase Elliott's going to be there, Kyle Larson. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of all of these Cup drivers, and you can say what you want about the Cup drivers suck. Well, no, they don't. I mean, because one of the things I think that we all loved so much about the old days was when Bobby Allison and Darrell Waltrip and all of these folks came and ran the snowball derbies and the All Pros and all this other stuff. I think that's what this Chili Bowl does, where it affords these guys the opportunity to come back and they run, and it's a star-studded field. And you know what? They're probably going to get beat by a lot of guys that aren't at that level.
Well, I think it's funny how people, is it because the Cup drivers make so much more money now?
Probably.
Back in the day when Bobby Allison and them would come, they'd be in their own private, they get their own private jets and stuff like that. I guess not necessarily private jets, but they would charter individual flights that race at all these little short tracks around the country, or at least within driving distance or flying distance of where they were. But I think that's just funny how people will end up saying that they don't like seeing it, but yet then they still bitch and moan when the racers actually do it.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is because all of these guys, all of these drivers, they all fall under that Cup blanket. And when we say the Cup blanket, what it is with them, it is the guys with the big motorhomes, and they don't want to deal with the fans, and they just kind of show up and they go and they have everybody that does everything for them. But these guys here, when you look at the list, I got a list right here. I jotted down. So, and this is just not even looking at that list. But you got Newman, Larson, Allgaier, J.J. Yaley, Briscoe, Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse, Brett Moffitt, Christopher Bell. That right there, you put all of those guys in those little cars right there, and I say little because they're little in stature, but when it comes to balls, they got big balls, and they're going to be racing for a lot of days over there. That there is going to be some fantastic racing, and I know they've got limited restrictions, and good job by everybody with the Tulsa stuff this weekend, because I didn't see anything that came out of there that said that folks were misbehaving or doing the things that they shouldn't be doing, and it looks like everything is fine. Everything's a go, still with limited capacity for the Chili Bowl, and that's fantastic. That's a great way to start the season.
Yeah, I didn't see anything where anybody had to post anything negative about the fans not following the rules. So it looks like the word was passed along quite well for everybody to do that. But I think the one thing missing though, Kyle Larson's obviously missing from the Chili Bowl stuff, but I think he's got his own path that he's trying to follow now. Obviously got reinstated back on the first in the NASCAR. I really thought we'd see some more sponsor announcements from him already.
Yeah.
In terms of trying to get some of that stuff lined up, but I'm sure it's coming. Rick Hendrick is not going to pay for that entire ride out of his entire pocket.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Yeah, nothing falling into place. It's going to be very hard for him to sustain to be able to do that if he's going to attempt to do that. But I do have one prop here that I want to show folks. So when we talk about racers marketing themselves, so. Remember we had Travis Braden on this show a while back, and I like the guy. I really like the guy. I got a Travis Braden koozie here that I have a cool beverage in. But so Travis Braden, this is kind of a racing 101 thing for drivers. And I just got this an hour ago when I ran into the wife. She said, "Hey, what's this?" I brought it with me and I opened it when I got here. So Braden was doing this thing because he went in and he hooked up. He lost his ride, or not lost his ride, but they decided they weren't going to pursue the snowball. And I'll do this quick before we get Owen on here. But so what they did is that they had different opportunities where you could throw a little money at him and help him out. And it was as little as $5. Whatever it was. I sent him just a little bit of money because I like the guy and I like Jess. I love what they're doing for racing. And today, Racers Take Notes, I get this card. It's Travis Braden Racing, and I get a handwritten note from him on the back. And he's just thanking me for donating for the Derby, and it's signed by him. It's handwritten, and he sent me a sticker, and he sent another sticker of his snowball thing. So
nice,
guys. It's shit like this. When we talk about marketing, yourselves, I didn't send him $1,000. Not even close. Not even close. But if you took the time to appreciate it, it's one thing to say, "Hey, I appreciate it." That's another level. So try it, guys. It's an attention getter.
Our man
Phil
an
attention getter.
Would be so proud right now.
Absolutely.
He talks about return on investment all the time.
Yeah.
And that is why that is return on investment. That's return on the investment for you. Right. As an individual that gave to that operation. A lot of guys were doing that during the Derby. So
sure.
A couple of guys did it that didn't make the race.
Yeah,
they were trying to do lap sponsors, get something as simple as $100 a lap, $50 a lap, or whatever. So, we've seen it a lot, and it was good to see Travis didn't have the run that he wanted, obviously.
Yeah.
But he definitely, I was surprised when you told me about that coming in the mail too, as far as everything kind of going that route with the stuff that Travis sent in, and the best part about it, handwritten.
Yeah, and you can look at it, and I'll post a picture of it afterwards. You can tell it wasn't written by Jessica. She didn't write that.
No, it definitely was. Was not written by her.
Because it looks like this. It looks like the way I write. So I mean, it's little things like that, and I mean that's where him doing that. I mean, if he sends that to somebody that has the resources, he's probably going to land him something pretty cool. He's probably going to land him something pretty cool.
He probably end up. All it starts is with the little sponsorship. Always starts with the little stuff. Then it goes to the big stuff. And it's always, and it usually ends up being the one that you don't expect to end up being the bigger sponsorship. So that's going to be the way that it's good to see. I'm really happy to see it the way that's been able to come through and kind of be a sticking point. It makes me wonder what you would have got if you donated a whole lot of money.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what I might have gotten. Who knows? But anyway, but it's cool stuff like that, and congratulations to them. I mean, I know they're still working to try to get stuff put together for 2020, and that's a driver that obviously he's got that snowball win. And say what you want about the way that happened, but doesn't matter. He's got that trophy sitting in his motorhome. I mean, that's really all that counts. That's all that counts. I mean, they don't take. Ask Darrell Waltrip. They don't take the trophies away. That's right. Yeah, that is exactly right. Hey, also we've got the Wild West Shootout coming up January 9th through the 17th. That's at Arizona Speedway. That's for USRA, USMTS. They're going to be having some big stuff happening there with that one. So it's there's a lot happening. And speaking of a lot happening, we are about to head to the Revved Up Sports Show hotline. Had a lot of folks asking. Texano, when's the schedule coming out? Talked to Owen last week. He said, I want to release it on your show. And he is on the hotline. Owen, how you doing, brother?
All right, what's going on, gentlemen? How are y'all tonight?
We are doing really well, my friend. We are doing really well. So first things first, did you hit the jackpot in Vegas? I guess not, because you called.
Yeah, no jackpots in Vegas. If I did, I'd probably put it all back into a racetrack and give it all back to the drivers anyway, because I love it so much.
Yeah, you probably would. So before we jump out here into why people are going to be tuning in. So off-season stuff for you. I mean, what all's gone into? Have you done a bookend on 2020? Final thoughts, and by the way, congratulations on being Promoter of the Year.
Thank you. Yes, Promoter of the Year kind of summed up the year, which was pretty awesome. Unexpected, very humbling, very surprising, very cool. My favorite Christmas gift of all was a Yeti Cup with Promoter of the Year and the Revved Up Sports Show and Race on Texas logos on it. It was a gift from my family, so I thought that was pretty awesome. So favorite Christmas gift from them. So, and I got to walk around L87 this past weekend carrying that cup everywhere I went. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Full of lemonade, I'm sure, right?
Absolutely. Nah, just Coke.
Yeah, no doubt.
Among other things, Coke in the glass.
There you go.
Even we don't have Revved Up Sports Show.
Overall, good year. Excited to get started with 2021. It's been a ton of work for 2021, and thus the schedule's as late as it is. But and I say late, it's only late if you want to consider it late. It's such a work in progress, and we'll get into all that. But 2020 was awesome. Can't thank the fans and the cars, the drivers, everybody that put a lot of work into it. One of the goals was keeping a racetrack alive and hopefully get it sold, and it sold. Everything came together really well for that facility, for those fans, for those people, and for the racers to have another option, so things worked out real well for 2020 for a lot of people. So it didn't go so well for many of us, many people. For me, I was lucky enough to have a pretty good 2020. So I'll deal with that and be happy with it.
No doubt.
Well, and without further ado, obviously everybody's tuned in to try to get the schedule for 2021. So why don't you go ahead and go over it with us, and we can let the masses know about everything you got planned coming up in 2021.
Well, let's talk just a bit about what goes into the schedule, right? I'm sure y'all heard this before, and This was an interesting one because for the most part, I don't know that I know in my tenure of running racetrack, we never did this before, never done this before, but I got and sat down with Johnny Torres and actually Stephen Whitaker had a lot of involvement as well. So the three of us kind of got together to build a schedule that was very beneficial to each track. And I think what you would find is that each track has at least one time a month they only race by themselves.
Right.
Being the three southern tracks, not so much Cotton Bowl. Love Cotton Bowl, and I try to work with Cotton Bowl as much as I possibly can. But really, South Texas Speedway and Cotton Bowl run a lot on top of each other. They're the furthest two away. So that being said, though, we kind of share a lot of cars between 37, STS, and us. At least once a month, nobody runs on top. So you have an opportunity as a racetrack to pull every possible Southern Texas car into your facility at least once a month. Mm-hmm. Pretty unheard of working together as long as I've been around, man. You know, Nick Holt tried it with T-Topa years ago when we were running asphalt, and Marianne was running Thunder Hill. I was running Corpus, and Sepik was running San Antonio. We tried a bunch of this. It never really came together as well as what we've done this year between these three racetracks. And what you'll find is that all three tracks now have the exact same rules in factory stock, the exact same rules in limited modified. So that's pretty impressive. And like I said, kind of unheard of over most of our 10-year racing to see these tracks come together and work like this. So we started off March 6th, which is the 2021 return, sponsored by Race on Texas. That'll be a good one. Can't thank Race on Texas enough for all they do for us. We move on to March 27th. So, again, me and Johnny working together. He needed those 2 weeks. He's off to a drag race on the 27th, so he needed me to run the 27th instead of every other week. Hey, we worked together. We got it done.
Absolutely, man.
That's a Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
That's a Cotton Bowl week, so you'll see on my schedule where there'll be no street stocks that week because we're doing some street stock work here, guys. Marianne came to me and said, hey, Owen, I got an idea that let's try to put some street stock series together and work together, and I agreed to adopt their rules. They agreed to make a few changes to their rules to where we could all come together and have a common set of street stock rules and build a street stock class stronger than it ever was, and have a series that Aaron's helping us put together, and Marianne did an awesome job. She came up with all that and pushed it, and we're working with Cotton Bowl to do that. So that week, there's no street stocks. That might not be a series race, but I'm not going to run that class on top of Marianne and Cotton Bowl. Thus, their night off. So BP Racing Fuels night there. We'll have the dwarf cars, plenty of racing. April 10th, Jude Allgaier night. That's a races featuring the sprint cars. So that's our first of two sprint car events, April 10th. April 17th, we don't have E-mods. Why? Because I tried to, if I fall on top of South Texas Speedway like I do there, I tried to give the E-mods off. So keeping in mind there's plenty of cars to share between the factory stocks, the limiteds, etc. But E-mods is a growing class. There's only maybe 20, 25 of them. Mm-hmm. And to try to split those between the two tracks is a bad decision. So on my part, I decided to let them off. And we had the Texas Dirt Truck Series that night. So it kind of just falls in nice, you know. Moving on to May 1st, Outlaw Embroidery night. Again, no E-mods. South Texas Speedway runs that night as well. I got 4 nights on top of South Texas Speedway, and I believe 3 nights on top of Cotton Bowl. The dwarf cars are running there that night as well. We have Saturday and Sunday, May 29th and 30th, our usual salute to the troops. Mm-hmm. We have the Southern Texas Late Model Series coming in that Saturday, Sunday. And if you remember right, last year we started on that Sunday and killed it with 172 cars on that Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's going to be a big night, and with the late models coming in for the first time of 2 again, pretty exciting. And this year we didn't really have a lot of pressure on May 29th, so we went ahead and threw a 2-night show. Neither 37 or STS are running that night, so we have a couple of back-to-back really good nights, I think, on there. Moving forward, we got June 19th, only once in June, guys.
Nice.
And that's the Revved Up Sports Show night.
Look at that.
Revved Up Sports Show.
Dang it, man. That's... Woo, man, I hope people show up for that one.
That's going to be the one probably have all the fighting and crazy stuff. That's going to be the wildest night of the year.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's awesome, Owen. We're super glad to be a part of that, man. That's going to be so cool.
Revved Up Sports Show on Father's Day weekend, I believe, there, so it's going to be cool.
Awesome.
And we got the dwarf cars that night. Perfect for Rodney. He loves them dwarf cars. And
hell, maybe I'll drag mine out there. Maybe
that would be fantastic.
Come out
I'd love to call a race with you in it.
Well, you may not say my name.
Can we mic you up so you can call a race from inside the car? I think that would be more fun.
I don't know about that.
It might have to be a little G-rated. It might have to be G-rated. But that's a good idea, honestly. I mean, not the miking up part, but yeah. Huh.
Oh,
have to keep that in mind.
I like the miking up part. It'd be pretty cool. Anyway,
that would be cool.
I used to, at South Texas Speedway, I used to ride around the water truck with the microphone. And when I come down the front straightaway, I'd talk to the crowd, and they'd be going crazy over that stuff. So watering the track and talking be like racing and talking be kind of entertaining. I never cussed unless I got it stuck in the infield or something stupid, which I've done a few stupid things.
Well, it happens. Happens to the best of us.
Once in June, and we go twice there, July 2nd and 3rd. We had 172 cars on Friday this year, July 3rd. So this time in 2021, we're going to go to July 2nd and 3rd, run a Friday, Saturday show. Again, the other tracks are off. It really opens our doors. Magnum Services All-American 50. We're going to run a 50-lap factory stock that night. Be watching for the details on the big money show there on July 3rd. So that'll be a fun one. Moving on, July 24th, we race one more time that month. We got dwarf cars. CCT Field Services, that's our modified sponsor, so can't say thanks enough to those guys as well. August 14th, thanks for our back-to-school bash. Do it every year. Backpack giveaway, lots of school supplies, SUS Sprint cars, second time this year. And then August 21st, we got no street stocks, no E-mods. Again, we're racing on top of South Texas and Cotton Bowl, but we do have the trucks that night, and we have the Kart King sponsored by L87 Speedway, so that's going to be a fun night right there. Moving on, we got a Sunday, which we had 198 cars on Sunday, September, 6th this past year, 2020.
Yep.
So we're going to go back to our Sunday show there. Friday and Saturday that weekend is STS, and then we do our Cohen's Welding Services night that night. So looking forward to another great Sunday event. The Sundays, we really killed it, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you sure did.
The next one's kind of a teaser. We played with a date for the ASCS Elite Non-Wing Series. Really want to get them guys down here. Paul White called me and said, "Hey man, see if you can get us down there to run some races in Southern Texas." And so I called Marianne, and Marianne was more than I'll lease you the track on whatever night you want to try to do that. Let's do a 2-night show on a Friday, Saturday. So I was like, okay, I'll lease it from you and run. And our plan was May. Well, just so happens the Elite Series had a whole lot of big races going on right there, and they were worried they wouldn't bring me the car count I needed for those 2-night shows. So what they asked is we moved to the 10th and 11th. We're kind of dragging our feet, waiting on Texas Motor Speedway. That is a typical weekend that's run a big race for TMS. So we kind of want to see what TMS is going to do with the recent ridiculous type restrictions put on TMS that you saw them put out that killed the February show. Yeah. That show's definitely a possibility right now, and I'm excited to maybe get back to work with Marianne and have a night at Cotton Bowl and a night at Texana. It shows up on my schedule and not hers at this point, but we both are on board with trying to make something work for that. So Elite Non-Wing, if you've never seen it, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that right there, holy smoke. You want to talk about a weekend of, that would be pretty kick-ass right there if you guys can pull that one off.
Yeah, and I tell you, Ronnie, I'd already talked to some of these IMCA now sanctioned mod lights, and I was really excited to get the mod lights involved in that weekend and possibly try to drag them over to Cotton Bowl for a night. Mm-hmm. They're exciting, super fast. And I'm sure you've seen them plenty of times.
Yeah.
And they're really interested in that.
Wow. Mod lights at Cotton Bowl.
There's a lot to do.
Yeah. Wow. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, we move on September 25th, and I think that's going to happen. We're going to have Speed Pass night. Speed Pass, everybody needs to tune in and get on Speed Pass. Got to love what they're doing for racing. And they're really, Speed Pass Race on Texas is really killing it for the racetracks right now, really helping us all. September 25th will be their date. And then we'll wrap it up with the late models again on CCT Field Services Championship night, October 23rd. That date got a little goofy. I started off with that date around, like last year, October 10th. We ended. I tried to do October 9th and then realized that Marianne got caught up with a lot going on with TMS and other things, and she moved Oktoberfest to that weekend. So I decided I would, no problem, I'll skate it on back a couple of weeks. And TMS is October 17th. Didn't want to go on there, so we went all the way to the 23rd. And STLMS was good with making the moves. So super happy to have the late models. They wrapped their series up at our track again this year on that date, along with we wrap up all our classes. So pretty excited to have that. And then we'll finish it out with a clash again where you came and killed it on the mic there. Rodney will do it all again this year. Looking forward to that one as well.
Man, what a schedule, man! And I got to tell you, Owen, what I like about what you do, and not saying anything bad about anybody else, man, but you take those chances with Sundays and all of that, and man, because you're right. I mean, those Sunday races. I remember the Sunday race I went to. I was like, damn, there were cars everywhere, man. There was no other option. I mean, not that I don't mean that. I just mean that as they wanted to come and run, and you schedule on a date like that. Hell, you're going to pull them in that back gate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that Vegas thing we talked about to start with. As much as I love Vegas and all that, that's kind of what half of this stuff is, right? We're throwing dice that we're going to get car counts and crowd counts, and we're taking our chances. You know, we got a lot in store, a lot of rules that are coming together that aren't out yet that are going to be there. I got a lot of plans for things just like the Street Stock Series. Well, I kind of been stuck in charge of working on a series with STS and 37 that we're trying to pull something together here where we're going to put together a real big 3 track series running factory stocks and limiteds. It's going to be big, and super excited. You know, we kind of bailed out on USRA this year, so there's some money there that we paid them a whole lot of money, and there's some opportunities there to build up and do good between us 3 tracks, and those other 2 promoters are on board and wanting to work. And it's exciting to have promoters working together, just like me and Marianne have worked together. You know, it's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, the thing on that I liked about the schedule is that it's very diverse, yet you have the right cars showing up at the right time. Like you've got the sprint cars on there a couple of times, you got the late models on there a couple of times, and you got the dwarfs on there a few times. So was it hard to have all the cars? I mean, it seems like everybody wants to race down there at Texana. So was it just hard to balance the race series that were coming to you, or did you have to reach out more to the race series, or was it a combination of both? How were you able to balance that between having the tracks want to come to you and then getting the series that you wanted?
Yeah, no, most of the series came to us and asked, hey, can we have this many dates? Can we have that many dates? And then, like with the sprint cars, I just told them, hey, we love y'all, want y'all to come back. It's a real good show. Along with the late models, both those series pretty much just told me, here's the dates you have to pick from and let me work with it. Dwarf cars, again, they bring a good economic impact to the racetrack when they're there. So they're very valuable to racetracks that they don't cost a whole lot of money, and they bring a good decent car count. They bring a good amount of people through the pits, and the crowd likes them. I mean, they're entertaining, and of course we have mod lights that run dwarfs as well, and it kind of, and when we run both those at the same time, we get quite a few of the dwarfs and mod lights all coming in one area. So all that kind of comes together well. The series mostly, and then the truck series, he's been hitting me up, and I finalized that actually today. There's 2 truck series dates on there as well. Just the logos don't show up yet because we were thrashing that out. Literally, I got those dates at 3:00 today. So, and there was a lot of conversation around money and how to make it work. And you know, I didn't necessarily give them guys what they necessarily wanted. I did give them what they asked for as far as a purse, but I told them, hey, I'll throw 500 more on top if you run green to checkered, no cautions. Nice. You know, I'm just going to give you an extra option right here. $500 you run green to checkered every day. I ain't scared. Because you know what? It's going to kill it for the crowd. They do that. And it's gambling, right? It's throwing the dice.
Sure. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. So, Owen, how much, and seriously, I mean, because when you were talking about Nick and everything, I remember those days, you know, trying to get all that put together. How much of this seriously is, I mean, because yourself and Stevie and JT and Marianne, you guys are racers. I mean, you guys are racers and understand the importance of this. I just think it's folks like you all are the ones that are able to get these tracks to work together, because you know how the hell this shit works on the backside.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece. It's a little bit of, or not a little bit, it's a lot of understanding of how beneficial we can be from having the same rules, having nights. You might remember I ran on the exact same night as I-37 every week last year.
Mm-hmm.
This year I don't run one night on top of them, and that's really JT driving that, saying, hey, let's sit down and work a schedule. Now, Stevie, he gave us, basically said, I'm running the same schedules last year, go with it. Here's what you got. So we kind of just, we laid that out on a calendar, and then me and JT went through and figured out, all right, what's your night this month that you're the only track running, and what's mine? And we worked together to get all that accomplished. And then we knew we would both have a few nights on top of STS to fill a schedule, because we want a full schedule. And then we work it that way. But I think the whole common rules, which Stevie's been critical in driving factory stock and USRA rules with the 2 tracks and the limiteds, and then, not having USRA. So we now want to have everybody on the exact same playing field, and that's really where we're at. And then the same thing kind of goes for Marianne and me in the street stocks. We're all trying to better racing in Southern Texas, literally Central South, right? Since Marianne's really Central Texas, from there down, we're all trying to work together to do the best we can for racing. And that's pretty unheard of, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a couple of questions that are popping up there, and I'll ask the one that, and again, if you don't know, I mean, whatever. So tech guy, is there a tech guy in place? I mean, I know that's always something that tech guys and promoters, everybody loves them and hates them. So anything changing with any of that?
Well, you know me, Rodney, I love to wear hats. As of right now, I think you're tech guy, your announcer, your race director. As of right now at Texana Raceway Park, I got all the hats. Man, I hate to say that.
No.
Our tech guy wasn't very happy last year with some things that went down with racers, not so much Owen, and he left us, and then we brought in Kinsey Davis. He teched me for years at South Texas Speedway, so he's currently the tech man at STS, obviously, and he helps me anytime I need it. I don't know that, obviously he can't be the full-time tech man. He works for a living and does things. So right now we're kind of in search, trying to fill that out. We're looking for anybody we can get. Until then, I'll wear another hat, and I'll find some people that can scale cars and do things ahead of me getting down there, and then we'll make some final decisions.
Don't
there.
know.
So we'll get that worked out.
Don't know how you do it, man. Don't know how you do it.
The best you can. That's all you can do.
That's it.
So a couple of questions popping up on
What else you
Facebook.
got?
Talking about some drivers meetings and stuff before the season starts. I mean, is that something you're looking at doing, or once you get everything out on social media and all of that, everybody's just set and ready to go? Are you going to save that for practice?
Yeah, I don't plan on any drivers meeting, to be honest with y'all, and here's why. I don't want to go into a drivers meeting and discuss rules and have all this plan that doesn't align with the other racetracks.
Yep.
So I hate to be this way, and I don't want guys to look down on me because I'm this way, but when me and Cotton Bowl come to a street stocks agreement rules, that's what we're going with. We're not going to argue and try to go, oh, well, we're going to change these 3 things different from them. No, we're going to align for the better of street stock racing, and that's both tracks' opinion of what's the best we can do for everyone, and that's the way we're going to go. I know Stevie and me have been working on some EMOD stuff back and forth. He's got some rules meetings. I've had input with him, and he's had input with me on what we think of EMOD rules, and he's going to work through some of that. And I'll be honest with you, when he's done, I'm going to go and say, those are my EMOD rules, just like factory stock and limited, because that's what JT's doing, and that's what I'm doing. We're trying to run this as common rules, the best for South Texas, not, hey, let's all meet and complain about it and then change 2 little items so our track's different.
Right.
That's I'm trying to avoid that.
Yeah. And I think so much of it now, Owen, is you can, I mean, if people want to meet, I mean, hell, you do a Zoom meeting. I mean, you do a Zoom meeting and say, here it is. And I mean, that's the bottom line. And I know, like with us on the asphalt track, I mean, we're not changing any rules. There may be one rule change. And I've had folks asking about a rules meeting. I'm like, for what? If you were good last year, you're good. Yeah,
I agree. And then the other thing that's missing, Rodney, is I've been waiting. I know Gina's going to come out with her schedule soon, and I'm really excited to kind of try to do some stuff with Gina and you and overall little multi-surface deals. So I'd like to see us get to some dates to where we can say, hey, these are going to apply to a little series deal between us and the asphalt, and let's see what these factory stocks can do on both surfaces. I still hope we get to that. I'm way interested. When I had CC Speedway, I don't know if you know this, but there was no South Tech Speedway at the time, but I had CC Speedway, and I asked the modifieds, and I could tell you Steve Whitaker Jr. and lots of guys brought modifieds over there. Yeah. Darren Leonard, I mean, lots of guys. They brought modifieds, and they ran them on, and it was fun because they're sideways smoking the tires on asphalt. I mean, they're dirt cars.
Yeah.
And it was good stuff.
Yeah.
So I love it, right? So, man, I was an asphalt guy. I grew up on asphalt. I always believed dirt was for getting, in the farm field, not for anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a little different nowadays, but I love them both, racing period. Y'all talk all about the Chili Bowl. Chili Bowl is my favorite thing to do every year. I love going to the Chili Bowl. Been there many, many times. But anyway, excited to do something with Houston Motorsports Park, I hope.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things, I hadn't even said this to you before, but kind of when we were having all that interaction, I mean, I thought Sport Mods also. I mean, Bobby knows as well as anybody. I mean, you guys have done that. I mean, so anyway, but I'll tell you,
tire, they'll fly.
Yeah, and this is a good missing piece of the puzzle for that, because I think that is something that could be exceptional, I think, to make that all work out. So, Owen, let me ask you, how cool is it for you, because you inherit this thing, you take over Edna, you didn't know how bad the year was going to be when you took it over, because you jumped into the thing late, so you knew it was going to be tough. But you get through all this, and to still hit, I mean, I don't know if you want to hear this or not, but you hit a home run out there, dude. To hit a home run in this shit show of a year that we just went through, I mean, that has to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, it was a home run, and I don't know that it was handed to me or not. I mean, it was handed to me. It was struggling. I was there every week. I was the announcer for the 2 years prior, 3 years prior. It struggled. Love them to death. The people that owned it are great people. They tried real hard. They have a little different mentality of how to run something. Like me, I'm kind of an ass when it comes to I want it to be done early. I'm pushing stuff and pushing and pushing and pushing, and they had a different mentality of that. 1 or 2 in the morning wasn't a big deal for them, and it is for me. I never got past 12 this year, even with 196 cars. So, just a different way of looking at racing and years of doing it, years of living in Minnesota, Wisconsin, racing every freaking 4 days a week up there, understanding how things went. Just if racing's all you do, like most of us, like you two and me, that there's a different way of running things and doing things. And I'm glad it worked. It's never easy, but I'm glad it worked, and it did. And I got a ton of respect for the drivers that all busted their butts to come there every week and do this. I think this season's tougher, guys. It's a lot more dates. There's a lot of tracks, a lot of opportunities now. Things are getting back to, I don't want to say normal, but, everybody's running.
Yeah, we're acting like it. Yeah.
We only ran a few races.
Yeah.
So, and a couple of things that are popping up about the factory stock rules, is it USRA sanctioned, or are you guys kind of keeping your South Texas trio rules set up for all of that stuff?
So let me tell you what we did there. Stevie went and took the Arclatex rules, okay? Arclatex rules, word for word. I think as I understand it, he took those and he brought in what he called his engine rules, which are what USRA adopted was his engine rules, which is the heads and a few other things. He incorporated those and a few other items that are pretty standard. We kicked out some items that none of us felt were right. And we kind of got a set of rules that falls. You can run your Arclatex car, your USRA car, either one, at these 3 tracks with nothing surprising, nothing out of the ordinary, straightforward, honest. This is the rules. That's the package. So that's where that comes from. There are some things. I think he removed the 50-pound weight penalty for an aluminum body in front of the firewall. Well, his concept, and we all agreed, me and JT both agreed, that every car's running that 50 pounds. Is it really worth having anymore? Right. Every car has it. Yeah. So it's not really a penalty. It's just there.
It's part of the car. Yeah. Absolutely part of the car.
Yeah. So why have something else to tech and mess with and worry about when every car has it. I mean, there might be one or two that don't. Wow.
Yeah.
Tough.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's good stuff, man. That is a super fantastic schedule, and I have to tell you, I really think what we're sitting here, Bobby and I are sitting here going back and forth. I think what is so impressive is that you guys are putting your collective minds together like we've never seen before, and that really is so important. I mean, you guys, this is ground level benchmark stuff, man. We've never seen this before.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty proud of what we've all done, and you know, I'm also on the side of L87, so when I'm pulling a schedule, I was talking to somebody today as I'm at the last minute putting this together at the graphics place, and I'm going pulling my hair out, and it's like, y'all gotta understand, I'm dealing with Cotton Bowl, STS, 37, myself, L87. I really would like to know what Houston's doing. I'm trying to get a non-wing event. I'm just torn here, right, trying to do all the right things, and it's pushing a rope uphill. It really is. And but you know, everybody involved is really good to work with and really easy to work with to do the right thing. And then I got Lawrence over at L87, and you know, Lawrence is the KG veteran that gives me a lot of direction. He straightens my ass out when I get on a tangent and says, "Hey, you need to be thinking about this or doing this." And man, that guy is perfect guy you could ever have in your ear to kind of line you up to get you back on track and going, work to make it better, because he's a racer. He's been racing many, many years, done a great job. That guy worked to make it better. Yeah. So that helps me keep on the right path of, no matter if you disagree or not, or you agree, you've got to keep on the right path for the better racing. And that's kind of what this is about. Yeah,
it really is. You got a hell of a team down there. You all of you guys, you're doing a fantastic job. And man, I can't wait. Let's get this thing going. Let's go racing, man.
Absolutely. And Marianne's another one that's a key leader in this deal. She is a leader in this industry, and love her to death. Street stock deal. She jumped on that deal and kind of put us all on the right path moving forward. Can't say enough thank you to Marianne and that whole deal. And I'll tell you, my schedule could change some, Rodney, because I already told her I need to know what Houston's doing, because when Rodney can't be there because he's going to be in Houston, I might need to cancel a night and come announce and support Cotton Bowl. You never know.
There you go, man.
Let's get this figured out.
There you go.
I just want to help.
Yeah, and we gotta teach some people how to announce. You know, well, we gotta teach them. We need some help. Yeah, we gotta teach them our way. Figure out how to do it. But it's good stuff, man. And Owen, seriously, man, from Bobby and I, thank you for doing this on our show. It's super cool to get to break something like this, and it's super awesome to be a part of what you're doing down there.
I appreciate it. It's super fun to be with you guys, and all y'all do for racing. That's what people miss, is what y'all do for racing. Us all tuning in and listening to the show every week means something to us. You probably don't get nearly enough thank yous for what y'all are doing. So it's kind of cool to have the Revved Up Sports Show. I hope June 19th, it isn't a Cotton Bowl night, and we can find you guys come down there and hang with us and really push and get this viewership and listenership to even bigger and better.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do all we can, my friend. Owen, congratulations, and looking forward to a great 2021. It's going to be some good stuff.
All right, see you guys soon.
All right, dude, take care. Here he is, Owen Pittman. That is a fantastic racing schedule. I said fantastic a lot during that conversation, but dude's doing a hell of a job there, man.
That's a lot of races down there, and it's good to see that all the tracks are working together. I think that it cannot be understated about the fact that all three of those guys, JT, Stephen Whitaker Jr., and Owen, are all racing guys. He alluded to it, that those guys work together because they're all racing. I think that when you throw in the little bit that they're trying to work with Cotton Bowl, and I don't say little bit as a negative aspect by no means, but when you talk about, you know, the way that they are trying to work with Cotton Bowl, despite as far away as Cotton Bowl may be, some of that stuff works out. I'll be glad when we get the Houston schedule. I'll be interested to see that factory stock stuff kind of work out between doing a MultiSurface deal.
That's that was actually something where one day I was actually talking with Owen and Gina. These days when we say talking, it's texting. I was texting with them separately on different things, and I merged the thing together, and I said, hey, why don't we do something like this? And because they had both talked to me about doing it, so I put the two heads together. And I mean, I really think it's a thing where you get Marianne involved. And I say Marianne because I think if you really look at it, Marianne's track is the conduit to all of this, because you've got Edna, you got Houston, and you got Cotton Bowl, and there's a really good car count out there. I mean, I think that's something where you could tie all of that together. And I've actually talked to a couple of guys in Houston about this whole concept, and some of the stuff that they have asked is could it be for Houston races to where these cars could run Lexan windshields? I mean, could it be to where you could run an 8-inch, Hoosier like you would on a street stock? I wouldn't.
No, I mean, they run pull-offs already.
10-inch tire. I sure as hell wouldn't run an 8-inch Hoosier pull-off.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, but anyway, stuff like that, spoilers and all that, and all of that is easy to. I mean, all of that's easy to add in, and it's a great set of additions there. There's actually John Cornish that was asking about doing that sort of stuff, and I think that's great ideas to where you could pull out some pro stocks and some of these others. So that's a work in progress, and I think that's actually one that could be kind of a trendsetter, really be a trendsetter. So we'll keep you posted on all of that, because that's still a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, so it's good. It's still good to see everybody working together and trying to. The best part about Owen's schedule, not just the Revved Up Sports Show night kind of deal, but the best part about seeing that schedule and just hearing about all the tracks working together. The fact that they worked with Stevie and they worked with Johnny Torres and they worked, trying to get stuff together. I like the late model events. I like how that ended up shaping out to where you're going to have the season finale for the late model tour is going to be popping up there at Edna. And if you hadn't been out to Edna, obviously Rodney and I talked about it before. There's some great racing. It's really not that far out of the way. It's really about 2 hours from everywhere you want to be. It's about 2 hours from San Antonio. It's about 2 hours from Austin. A little over 2 hours from Houston, a little over 2.5 hours from Corpus. So it's just within 2.5 to 3 hours from everywhere you want to be, and all the other racetracks that they're trying to work with. So as far as that goes, it's nice to see that, and I'm really, really excited to see the schedule take shape there with the way that those guys are working all together there in 2021. It's good to be part of it, both with the show and in person.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think the big factor is, and seriously, the whole working together thing is because I know the tracks. I mean, I know the tracks want to get as many race dates in as they can, and so forth and so on, and that's really, I mean, that's what it's all about. But to really see them take a step back, and that's really kind of the old adage there, where you talk about working together, helping your neighbor, all of that stuff that a lot of people say, well, that's stupid, but it's actually true in this case, because what they're doing is they're going to work together, and I think this is going to benefit all of the tracks so much, because you are going to have the crossover. Yeah, you may miss a race date that you wanted, but I think when the next race date you have, you may have your cars times 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that there's always going to be that one race. He's going to have hiccups. Obviously, every track does. I think it's how the racetracks have learned to deal with the hiccups. You and I have both known from being, on the not the management, the operations, I think is the word I'm looking for there, on the operations side, where you can plan all you want to, and you can have it down to a script, down to a science, but yet something's going to go wrong, and it's the ability to make it. It's the ability to make it to where the fans in attendance and the drivers in attendance don't realize exactly what was messed up on it. That's the part that makes it somewhat rewarding when the fans are like, when you at the end of the night, you're like, finally catch your breath, you're like, man, good thing we made that work, and everybody's like, oh, what was wrong? Everything was fine.
Yeah, that really is the thing, because I've talked to so many different promoters. Owen, is one that the nights that I'm there with him, I'll always try to go share a cold beverage with him, before I have to get out of there, and it's like, man, spot on night. And he's like, well, but I had this and this and this and this. And I'm like, man, nobody would ever know. And the same thing that we run into at Houston, where we kind of have a little team call at the the Monday afterwards, and it's like, man, it was a great night. And it's like, well, no, actually we had this and this and this. But to the casual fan, to the naked eye, as they say, you'd never know. You never know.
And that's part of it. I mean, that's the entertainment value of it. It's kind of like when we were able to make the flyovers work in Houston with the perfect timing.
Yeah, y'all were. I couldn't make it work at all until the dude said, use this.
Well, yeah.
Sam.
I mean, but it's not the point of all the tools we use to make it happen. It's the fact that everybody's like, oh, that was perfect. I can't believe you guys made that happen.
Well, if they were there the time before, it worked really well. But the time before, it was like, whoa. But
you were off a little bit, but it was everybody's first time.
Just that. I mean, but just so many, and folks don't get it. And Jamie Skinner we had him set for 7:30. We're just trying him there in the break. Well, there wasn't a break, but was just trying him. I got a message into him. This is where this show gets tough, because when we start scheduling folks from outside of our time zone, that's when it gets a little crazy. But anyway, so we may have him, we may not. I don't know. So, but just hang around. I do think a lot of people wanted to see that schedule, though, so we have plenty to talk about. But when it does come around about the whole presentation, about doing all of that, and it's little things, like there with Owen. I mean, Owen at his track, he always likes to play, God Bless the USA, and does all of that before the race. And you would not believe how the precision is built into that. It needs to happen at a certain time, and if you miss it by this much, it throws everything off. Mm-hmm. It throws everything off, and that's part of the behind the scenes stuff that folks just don't get. And all of these South Texas promoters here, these 3-4 tracks, whatever it is, they are doing something that is going to be so great on the return for racing.
Yeah, I think it works really good. The other thing Owen talked about that I thought was really interesting, that piqued my interest when he talked about running mod lights at Cotton Bowl. Obviously, nothing set in stone. I know that he still said it's a work in progress, and I get it. But when the Dwarf Car Race Series of Texas was running at Cotton Bowl, and they had some mod lights show up, they were crazy. I can only imagine how an entire field of mod lights would just fly. They would just haul ass around Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, that would be a sight to see, to watch that actually happen. And again, that is June 19th. Don't forget, June 19th is the Revved Up Sports Show night at the races out there. So that might be cool to haul the old car out there and just go, run around, go drive around.
Well, I mean, you could always put it on display too.
If I'm going to take a car there, I got to drive it. And actually, the nice thing is my suit would fit a little bit better now, a little trimmer than when I tried it before. But yeah, mod lights at Cotton Bowl, that would be, and it's funny with that, because I mean, I've talked to Marianne. I'll go on record and tell you what she tells me. She's like, when the dwarf cars come, I'm so excited, but at the same time, I'm so scared.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I remember. So with the dwarf cars, I the couple of times that I tried to run at Cotton Bowl before, my first 2 times I took my own 900. I took the dirt car that I'd bought, and then the third time I think that it was that I went out there and raced in the dwarf cars. I took the purple one. I took Purple Rain out there, and I smashed the gas on that thing like I would have done in the 900. I came out of turn 4 and I hit the gas and I was in the infield. I mean, because it's just they're so fast, and it, yes, that would be some kind of show right there.
Yeah, no, that would be some kind of show. Seeing the mod lights run at Cotton Bowl. The other part too, I'm still interested to see how the street stock stuff is going to shake out. The street stocks they're dwindling in numbers, right?
Yeah.
Everybody will openly admit to that they're slowing down. It's hard to find Camaro parts and pieces now in the salvage yards, not junkyards.
No, that's right.
Not a junkyard in the salvage yards nowadays.
Right.
So it's good to see the 2 tracks working together. And I think if it's a concept that takes off, I love how Owen is working with everybody on specific series, right? And I think the reason you have to do that is because it's easier if you have a series, then it gets people motivated to go to both tracks. Mm-hmm. If both tracks just happen to run the same cars, that's a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you what's so impressive about this the street stock thing is like you're saying. I mean, we've seen the outlaw street stocks, whatever you want to call them. The one place that they're not struggling too bad is Waco, which I guess that's not really that surprising.
Not really. Nothing
struggles there. I'm sure they do. We just don't know. But what I like about this whole idea is that you're getting ahead of the curve. These tracks saw that in this year that those fields were dwindling a little bit. So now they're being proactive, where it's also often we're reactive, where it's like, okay, I mean, they're reacting somewhat, but I would think at all of these tracks, you're going to have a good field of street stocks anyway. at various tracks. I mean, this track may have a better one than this one. You're still going to be okay, but what they're actually doing is getting out in front of it. And I think in the past, if you go back and trace the chronicles of Texas racing, if we would have gotten ahead of things that we saw happening for a long time, like this whole thing with the street stocks, for example, on pavement. I mean, we know the cycle. We know the cycle. We know that the super stocks would run about 7 years. They would advance into something else. The hobby stocks would then come into. We've watched this countless times. But what they're doing is they're jumping in front of it and going to nip it in the bud, which that's different.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's good, the fact that they're trying to stop it. And we've seen it. We saw it, especially on asphalt. Saw it at Longhorn. When the street stocks first they started out, when the super stocks got too expensive and a lot of people started dropping out, you started having, 8, 10, 6 super stocks as it started there towards the very end. And then when they came in the next year, they started calling the street stocks the super stocks.
Yeah.
And instantaneously, boy, did the street stock guys want to start spending money that they didn't need to spend.
Right.
When they started letting them, at first it was just they're going to let them adjust the carburetors. Then it went from carburetors, then it went to a little bit of shock change here. Then it went to a little bit of motor change here.
Cams.
Yeah, and then it ended up being rear ends that could change again. And so slowly but surely, you started having a limited late model.
Yeah.
And then when they finally got the bright idea, well, we'll just let them run the aftermarket bodies.
Yeah.
That's when they became full-blown limited late models, and they weren't street stocks anymore.
I remember, when Dad started, I mean, it was everything. I mean, it was all, stock. I mean, when he started in, the early 80s, 84, whatever it was. And so you ran the 7.5 GM rear end, stock gears, everything like that. And as we progressed a little more, and then after I started driving, he hands over everything to me. And I remember one year is when all the transitions were starting to happen, and there was this big thing about the Ford 9-inch. It's like, run the Ford 9-inch rear end. And we're like, okay, what's the difference? I mean, we had only run the 7.5 GM, and we didn't want to do it. I mean, we didn't want to run the Ford in there. I mean, for one thing, we didn't have any. And then we wound up with one, and grudgingly we put a 9-inch in a car, and it's like, holy shit. How did we not do this before? And that's, it's little things like that just help the performance. And I love what they're talking about with the sport mods and the factory stocks to do. Can you imagine that little show? Those two classes, series, whatever, they can contain themselves. You don't need, support classes are great, but you don't need support classes with those two.
Yeah, no, those cars, like you said, they support themselves. I think the other part, too, is how smart they are with the rules. Like Owen said, the 50-pound weight break for the aluminum body, or the weight penalty, rather.
Yeah, firewall. Yeah.
Firewall, hell, everybody's got it.
Yeah.
Everybody switched to the right body. It's the whole thing is the pink, what do you call it, the pink radiator cap? Mm-hmm. Where somebody comes in and they're fast and they got a pink radiator cap, the next week, everybody's going to get one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's... We've talked about the factories on the show countless times. Again, podcast at RevvedUpSportsShow.com, where it's you read the rules, you watch them, and they're just so fun to watch. And you see guys that are moving from other classes. There's guys coming out of the big mods, coming out of the sport mods, limited modifieds, whatever you want to call them, that are jumping into these factory stocks because of the obviously it doesn't cost quite as much to race them, so they say. But I'm sure there's guys
comparatively, yeah,
right. I'm sure there's guys that are spending $20,000 on a limited modified that are maybe spending $20,000 on one of these. But and it was funny though where he's talking about Lawrence, and I can tell you, Lawrence would maybe tell me this in private, different, but I've looked at Lawrence's factory stock, and again, this is just from Lawrence from years and years and years of being the damn legend that he is. You look at Lawrence's car, and it just looks like a street stock.
It's probably what it used to be back in the day.
It's all in the loose nut behind the wheel, and that's where I remember I took my car over to Stoy's once, dwarf car, to get worked on. Stoy said, I did some things here, nothing illegal. He's like, I got everything in place the way it needs to be for this car to be fast. The only thing that we need to work on to make this car fast is the loose nut behind the wheel. And the loose nut behind the wheel grew some nuts, and the car got fast.
It's funny how that works.
And I think that's a lot of what the factory stocks are, where we can talk about with the I mean, these guys are buying really, really expensive chassis and so forth, but you got to make it all work, and that really is a class where you get out there and just wheel the hell out of it, and you're going to be fast.
Well, I think this part of it with the dwarfs is that a lot of people were it's the same thing. You saw the evolution of the dwarfs to where it was an affordable class and had a lot of stock parts and pieces. Then you had guys dropping out of big time late models, dirt modify or asphalt modifieds too, and they were like, oh, well, it's only going to cost X amount of money to run this set of mod light shocks. So we're not mod lights, but let us go ahead and run these mod light shocks.
Yeah, well, and what happened there with DCRST, and again, they're still going. I mean, it's hardly DCRST the way it was before, and be mad if you want to be, but it's not what it was before. And what it was is, I think, frankly, guys were tired of running the old cars. I mean, because all of the cars, I mean, Arden's car, my car, a lot of those really fast cars that used to run DCRST at Central Texas, they were old. You would not believe how old those cars are. I think my car was probably built, Butch would have to tell me, probably in 98, 97. But
it's an old legend car.
Yeah, but they went in there and they made the changes to it, but guys didn't want to do that. And what was happening is where it got tough for the dwarf cars was all the parts were made. I mean, everything, you broke a trailing arm, you broke, not a trailing arm, but trailing arm mount, all of that stuff. You messed that up, Arden would make you the part. Mm-hmm. Arden made you the part. And realistically, it made sense to where guys were tired of having to get parts made and didn't want to wait. So they went out and did this, and this came to that, and this came to that, and then here's what you end up with.
Mm-hmm. And you see it a lot. I mean, that's the part that, and you know, a lot of it is just simple evolution too. You see, these cars will evolve over time. Racers are their own worst enemies, but everybody wants to go faster. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not just the parts and pieces that make it want to go faster. Sometimes the cars themselves, all it takes is for one guy to design a new cage that may be, one bar moved over by a foot.
Yeah,
it's within the rules. It doesn't say you can't. We've had that conversation with car builders on here before, because every good car builder is colorblind. They only see the color gray. Mm-hmm. But all it takes is for one bar to be moved over, and all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, let's see, that could work. Why can't we do it that way?
Right, exactly. Eddie, no, you have not missed Jamie Skinner. We're still lobbying to get him on. Like we were saying, time zones get a little tricky when it comes to us down here in Central Texas. Just something else, just another challenge that we're in a different time zone with all these folks. But yeah, it is. One little thing leads to another, and where I don't know. I still go back to with the factory stocks. I mean, are you going to be able to? Are you going to be able to contain them? I know the question came up about the tech stuff. I saw, I've watched Jack over there at Cotton Bowl. He digs in there, and he's gotten a couple of those guys and gotten them on some infractions or whatever the case may be. But I mean, that really is the key to have that in place. To I don't know, tech solves every problem, but at the same time, tech is something that can totally kill the momentum of a racetrack.
Well, it can. I mean, it depends on which side you're on. If you're on the side that you're getting outrun and somebody comes through and ends up outrunning you because they're cheating, obviously you're going to get happy that the tech man finally, quote unquote, caught them. But if you're the guy that found an advantage without cheating and look between the lines, then you're not happy. You're not happy that you ended up getting caught with, well, for lack of a better term, caught cheating. And so it's one of those to where it just ends up being the way that it ends up working. But we've also seen tech where tech is too strict. Obviously, racers beforehand like to press the envelope. They do that a lot. If you can come through and see it, you've seen it at every racetrack. Every racer pushes it to the edge as much as they can, at least the ones that like to win a lot. And everybody will use the extent of the rules, so everybody reads them differently. Everybody comes through and sees it a lot differently. And so the tech can also be... But you got to have some tech. You don't want to have you don't have too strict of a tech guy. Yeah, you also got to have that fine line of having a guy that you're going to tech. You don't want the evolution of coming through and saying, hey, these guys don't ever tech anything, so don't go run there. It's a catch-22. Yeah,
and it's so hard because we were talking here last week or whenever it was, where we were talking about the big truck race over at Houston this past year, and with everything that happened there with transmissions and everything after the fact with all of that, where you had a published set of rules where this track is going to do what this track is doing, but these rules are written this particular way, but track A or track B, whatever it is, never went down the path to actually detect that, and that's where we wound up with all of that big mess. And I felt so terrible. I mean, for the folks that missed out on that. There were a couple of guys up at the front of the pack that I mean, it sucked for them because there was a gray area in the rules that had never been addressed by whatever track.
Track B.
Right, but you come down here to track C, and you're running for $10,000, and the tech man says, I'm pulling this crap out, and we're going to check it, because that's what you do when it's a big money race. But those trucks didn't run big money races at track B or A or wherever the hell it was. And that's where it gets so hard. And people don't have a lot of empathy for the tech guy. And I mean, I could tell you that, I mean, the tech, Ricky Brooks and thoughts to Ricky Brooks. We saw the loss there with his family. I don't know, maybe Ricky Brooks does enjoy disqualifying people. I think maybe part of him does, because he's all about fairness and he wants everything to be done the way it should be. But I think at some point it bothers him. I know Jack Sandifer, I've been disqualified by him so many times, and the conversations, I remember him, that when he comes over, it's like I'm kicking him right in the balls, because it's killing him that he has to do it.
Well, and other part too, hell, Jack's DQ'd Keith, his own son.
Sure.
So Jack plays by the rules. He reads it, and also that's the other part too with the tech guy. As much as it's the responsibility of the race car driver to look between the lines and try to push the envelope, it is the tech man's job to come through and try to find that. Right? It's the tech man. It's all about the interpretation. One guy can read one set of rules and interpret it a certain way. Another guy can read a set of rules that interprets it another way. It goes back to the analogy. You can run 1 5-pound weight, but it doesn't say if it's a 5-pound weight of aluminum. Doesn't say if it's a 5-pound weight of tungsten. It doesn't matter. If only it says 5-pound weight, everybody's going to interpret that as a little different. Somebody's even going to try to run away and get a 6. Somebody thinks it's going to be better to run a 4-pound weight. Yeah. So that's the one thing that you have to worry about. People are going to interpret the rules differently. That's why it's great to have the same set of rules for both tracks, because more than likely you're probably going to have not necessarily a tech man travel with the different races that are coming, but you're going to have somebody familiar with the track to where when they start working together and running the same stuff at more than one track, then it becomes a little bit better for everybody.
And I think part of that, I mean, the one thing that I will say where it does go back to the tracks, I mean, what you probably need to do, and I mean, I know most tracks do this, I'm sure, but I mean, go back and review your rules. I mean, because I think, go back and read everything, because now you've got folks that read into these things, and they go and they find the gray area. And I can tell you, because when we were trying to figure out, when this whole concept came up of factory stocks on the asphalt and so forth and so on, I mean, one of the first people that I called with this idea was my dad, because I knew that he would. I mean, he remembers those street stock days, because honestly, these factory stock rules resemble what we used to do way back then. And so he mailed me all these rule books. From 85 at San Antonio, all these different ones. I've got them in my office, and I sit there and I was digging through those just to look at them. And if you go, there are things that you can look at in a 1985, 1990, 91 rule book. You go and you look, and it's still in the rule book today. And that's where you go back and you polish all that up, because people are crafty now. Mm-hmm. People have always been crafty. But nowadays, I mean, they're going to go in there and they're going to find it. And now, Bobby, it's not the gray area has changed nowadays. I'm not sure how we got to this, but the gray area has changed nowadays to where it's not so much parts and pieces that you should, could, or shouldn't use, but now it's the way you word things. Mm-hmm. Now the way you word it. Yeah. People are smart. I remember
that with Tom's.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the way that some of the stuff was worded. The rules were pretty much a carbon copy of the IMCA Sport Mod rules. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what they started out as. But then when you started running everybody on an 8-inch tire, a asphalt racing tire.
Yeah.
Then everybody wanted to start talking about, well, it was a stock shock. Then it was, well, this is a stock appearing shock. No, it says that you have to run a stock shock. Well, this is a stock shock. It's stock appearing. Well, no, then that, One of those like that, right? Like it's just depending on how then you had to go in and modify the rule, a clarification of the rule that says you must run a factory had to run a stock shock, not a stock appearing shock. You had to run the stock shock. Mm-hmm. Of course, then everybody wanted to change it in the off season. So then when you let them start running racing shocks, then they get pissed off that they all have to buy new shocks. That's the funny thing about racers. Racers are going to sit there and complain about the shocks, but the ones that want to win are the ones that are going to go and buy the new shocks. Yeah. We saw it in Houston when they were talking about adjustable shocks. Everybody said, well, hell, if we can run adjustable shocks, I'd have them on my truck. Oh, yeah, I could have them on my truck too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing about it is, crafty, my man Jim Pallas, crafty equals devious. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Still is that way. The thing about it is, I'll be real frank with you all. That shock rule that got the guy second place truck disqualified in Houston. I'm speaking for myself. And I'm not. I'm an announcer at the series. Is all I am in Houston. But I can tell you something right now. Where he got disqualified, the shocks he had are better. Have we talked about this? The shocks that he had on his truck. That's a better way to do it, because what he does there, he can make a little bit of adjustments right there, and he can adjust those shocks. It's obviously going to affect the performance a little bit, but otherwise. What you have to do is, like Bruce Wright and all these guys racing in Texas with our current rule, is you have to go, and if you want to make a shock adjustment, you know how you do that?
You change
a shock. Where this guy, he may pay a little bit on the front side, makes a couple of adjustments, and that's racer friendly. That's a good rule. We need to adopt that. I don't know if we're going to or not, but that's good. That's good, and that's where you learn from that. But it's just so hard. But it all goes back to, when you look at full circle, everything that we talked about tonight here with Owen Pittman, as they put this, or he releases his 2021 Texana Raceway schedule here on the Revved Up Sports Show, is they're working the tracks as one to get these rules in place to where it's going to be easier for the racer. And that's really what we all want. That's really what we all want.
Yeah, that's exactly what we all want, is to make it easier for the racer, because if it's easier for the racers, more racers come out, you get more fans to come out to watch all the excitement, and it just is a wonderful ecosystem that tries to work together until, one person gets pissed off about a cold hot dog, or in the case we heard about last week, too many jalapenos, or not enough jalapenos?
Not enough jalapenos.
Not enough.
Yeah, and there's always those things, but what the tracks continue to have to do is just fight that challenge to give the best presentation that they can. And the other thing where we were talking about with the rules, how these guys, with the wording and all of that, you were talking about, weights and all this stuff. Now you got to say where you can put it. It used to be, up to 25 pounds allowed on the left side. Now it's got to be 25 pounds, 5 inches back on the frame rail, 2 inches back from the seat, not to be a quarter inch over from the right side. It's got to be that damn detailed.
And somebody's still going to try to find a way to mess it.
Yeah, oh yeah, every damn time. With the transponder. It's like, that's the funniest part when you watch guys when they go race at a different track and they have to run maybe a different transponder. Well, where do I put it? Well, right here. Well, how about right here? No, this says right here on this paper, it tells you exactly where it needs to go. What about right here? No, you can't put it there.
You got to put it right where it says in the rule book.
You got to put it right where it says, but that's racers, and I'm not bitching about it. That's what makes it great.
We've all done it.
Sure we have.
Everybody pushes the envelope, and I shouldn't say everybody. And this is going to sound really bad. The people that don't push the envelope are the ones that are getting their ass run over.
Yeah, you don't push the envelope, you're in the back. That's the bottom line.
And nobody wants to run there. I shouldn't say nobody. There are people that only want to go there just for the sport. I have a race car and I race around. I was not one of those people. You were not one of those people. Everybody that tries to run up front pushes the envelope about something. I get people say, oh, no, not everybody pushes the envelope. BS on that. Everybody that runs fast or tries to run up front tries to find some way and some form to push the envelope, because that's the nature of the beast.
It's competitive. I never enjoyed getting lapped unless there was a guy that I knew was going to lap me that I was pissed off at from a time before. and I wanted to take a shot at him.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be giving all these secrets if I'm going to try to race on June the 19th at the Revved Up Sports Show night, because I'll probably be getting laughed. I'll probably be getting laughed in that one. But, yeah.
I want to be teching. Maybe that's the night I have to go on down there and announce.
Yeah, maybe so. But Owen said he wanted to call that race. I'm sure he wants to call that race to really rub it in there as to what. Hell, maybe I'll surprise him, go out there and run top 5.
Maybe it surprised everybody, not just Owen.
It would surprise me, actually. With that group, it would surprise me, too. With that group, it would surprise me. Just fantastic night. Fantastic night from Owen. We didn't get Jamie Skinner. I'm sure he'll probably call as soon as we hang up. Because, let's see, where's he? He is on...
He's in Florida. So
he's in Florida.
If he's on the Daytona Beach side, then he's an hour ahead of us.
He's an hour ahead of us. Because, yeah, his number pulls up Daytona. So, anyway... It is what it is. We'll work to get that, as we always do. If we miss somebody, we always work to try to get it rectified and get them back on here. But good stuff from Owen. I'm sure that schedule is probably now up on his side, on the Texana page. We'll get it put up here. Of course, we'll get all of this podcast at RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Go to YouTube. You can re-watch this video. The video part of this, you can actually watch it here on this page as well. But really, really good night of stuff. Just really good discussion, and it makes me feel good about Texas racing. I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think definitely with the racers from, and we talked about it the other day. Talked about it with Kevin. That when they worked together up in the Metroplex area, up in Northeast Texas. And it works for them. And surprise, surprise, now people down here in the bottom half of the state, from Central Texas down south, are working together. And it looks like it's going to have the same results and being a positive where, you got to work together. I'm going to let this class off this night to run here. I'm going to let this class off to run here. You guys can have this class. I'll run this class. So, all in all, I think the schedule, I think that there was more, Owen made it more clear about what he was doing and why they did it versus when some of the people just released the schedule.
Yeah.
Not saying that Johnny doesn't care, but Johnny didn't put as much, what's the word I'm looking for? Didn't put as much emphasis on the why. They just put the emphasis on the where. Well,
and I think a lot of what with Owen releasing the way that he did it, I think it really draws it all together why they all look the way that they look, because this really was a very structured effort by all of these operators to get this done in this fashion. Where Owens was I said bookend earlier. Owen was the bookend that really ties the whole thing together, and you see why the other ones look the way that they look. And I have to tell you that, and I'm not saying this because she just posted. I think it's hilarious that Owen said that the whole thing with the street stocks and all that it was that they went to Marianne, and Marianne was kind of the one that put the pieces in place here to do this, because God knows, I was wondering as we were sitting here talking, I'm thinking, how the hell is Whitaker, Pittman, and Johnny Torres, how the hell were they able to pull this off? You had to have some brains in there.
Yeah, somewhere.
You had to have some brains in there to make it all work out. So Marianne was the puppet master. Yeah. In the words of our old friend John Melise, she's the one that went in there and really, really made it work.
And it is up on the Texana Raceway Park Facebook page for those that are wanting to see it.
Yeah. Yep.
Again.
Yep. Absolutely. Good stuff. Go check that out. Check out all the other race schedules. Houston is coming. The dates are in pencil and ready to be done in pen. But there seriously are a couple of things that are in the works. I crap you not. It's going to be worth the wait. We'll get you those 8 dates, and we've got some other stuff that you're going to be pretty excited about too. But just hang tight, and we'll get that for you. But hey, we're damn near there. I mean, we are damn near there, because it's going to be time to get going here before too long. We've got Enduros coming up. It's shit and get time.
It's getting there. Everybody getting warmed up. The people that are working on the cars while listening to the show, God bless you. For those just sitting at home waiting on NFL football, God bless you too.
Joyce, I am not a suck-up. Stop it. I had that thought before she ever put that on there. Just hadn't been able to get that thought out. By the way, Texas has a new football coach. What a Saturday. What a Saturday. We'll talk about that another time. Maybe next Monday. There's a little football game.
A little football. Maybe we'll do your 5th annual national championship show next week.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Thank you, Owen Pittman. We'll work to get you Jamie Skinner in the future. For For Bobby, I'm Rodney. It's #Real Race Talk from Texas. Have a great week, everybody.